So you want to learn how to layer leads. In this video, I will share with you 5 simple yet powerful and effective strategies that will take your leads to the next level and make them sound more professional. Hi, my name is Vlad, I am a DJ and one-man band music producer. I grew from a beginner to a professional musician in less than 5 years. So if you want to become a full-time music producer, make sure to subscribe to the channel because this is what I teach here. Also guys, if you've subscribed to the channel, please leave a comment below because I like and answer to every single of your comments. So let's start with the tutorial. And the first tip is selecting different sounds. So you need to layer different sounds. Let's break down the lead, the main synth that I have. As you can see, it consists of the 1, 2, and 3 layers. And let's listen to every single of these layers so you guys can see what role every single of them has in the mix. So the main lead sound is this one. And I also have 2 more sounds. The first one is cello. And I have one more, it's a brass layer. And all together they sound like that. As you guys can hear, every single of these layers adds something to the sound, to the character of the sound. So if you want to make your leads sound more interesting, try layering different sounds. It doesn't necessarily have to be organic sounds like I'm using, but I'm going to talk about that in the next tips. But just try layering different sounds. So for example, you can have one synthesizer, which is, let's say, a saw, and you layer the next one that will be maybe a square, maybe it will have some FM modulation, some interesting effects. The key here is to layer different sounds because when they add up, it will make your lead more interesting. The timbre, the sonic character will be more interesting. That is the key. Alright, so let's move to the lead layering tip number 2, and this one is about layering organic and digital sounds. So this is what I've talked in the beginning of this video, and let me guys show you. When you layer organic sounds with digital, it just sounds so cool. I use that a lot in my music, and you can try this if it works for your tracks, because I think this is an amazing technique that mixes and blends the organic and digital flavor in a dance track. I just love that. I just love that. It sounds so amazing. Alright guys, hope you get this one, and let's move to the tip number 3. And tip number 3 is about grouping and bouncing similar kinds of sounds. So in this case, in this example, I have cello plus brass, and they are very similar in terms of timbre, sound, and what you can do to save resources of your computer, and thus it will be easier for you to process the sound. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to root the cello and the brass and just resample them to show you guys what you can do. So let's do like this. Select the group and solo the cello and the brass. I'm just going to delete these channels. For now, we don't need them. And the benefit of using this method is that you can process your sounds at once. I've tried another approach when you process every single track, like if you've layered your synth, you process every single individual track, but it takes a lot of time and effort to process every single sound. And still, if you are layering your leads, you will eventually do some group processing. So why not just bounce it all into one track and process that? I think that's a very, very effective technique and approach. And now you can do EQing, you can add distortion, whatever. It's really easy to process sounds when you bounce them into one track, so you don't have to process them separately. So that is my third tip. Alright guys, so let's move to the tip number 4. The tip number 4 is about creating contrast in your mix, in your track. And you can combine wide and narrow sounds. So what I'm talking about right now, I'm going to show you guys. So for example, we have these two leads. So this one is in mono and this one is wide. And what you can do, you can process them with a delay, with a reverb. It doesn't really matter what kind of effects you are using. It's about creating contrast. So something could be very, very wide and something could be in mono really narrow. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use let's use a delay, Echo Boy. This is my favorite delay, and I'm just going to apply some delay to the mono sound, and let's make it really, really mono. Something like that. And this sound we are gonna make really, really wide. And let's select Echo Boy once again. And now we are going to do dual echo. So basically what I'm doing here is harsh effect. Harsh effect is when you have two channels and you have a delay between the right and the left channel, and it's a psychoacoustic effect that makes us feel that the sound is really wide, but it's just really, really small delay that makes this feeling. So for example, we can do 2 and let's say 4 milliseconds. So now you can really hear that. And to exaggerate this feeling, I'm going to make it even wider with this free plugin. And now let's listen to both of these two. Maybe without delay. Oops, that wasn't the right sound, so I should have applied to this one. And let's make this one a bit louder. Yeah, so you get the idea. Maybe it doesn't sound perfect, but if you understand the concept, you can apply this to your lead. So once again, guys, what you need to do, you need to have a wide sound and a narrow sound, like in mono or really, really narrow. It doesn't have to be like exactly in mono, but maybe 20% of width from the original sound, and you will create a very interesting contrast. And contrast in music, it's so important. Alright guys, and the last tip for today is about processing. So you should process your sounds differently. So for example, what you can do, you can apply these techniques from the previous tip. So for example, let's maybe add some delay to the cello and brass. Just try it out, what sounds good. And you can apply any effect literally. So for example, double room. Yeah, that sounds cool. Really adds an interesting psychoacoustic effect to the sound. And on the lead, we can do something similar, or I'm actually doing a pretty similar thing. I have a delay, so if you can hear. And without this one. Yeah, now it sounds interesting. And what you can also do, you can process them differently in terms of balance, dynamics. So for example, you can add a lot of distortion to this sound. Maybe make it dull. And for example, you can also compress this one really hard. This is just a suggestion, just an example, so you guys understand the concept that you should be processing your sounds in a different way. But not always. There's just a technique that you can utilize to make your leads and basically any sound more interesting. And maybe you can make this lead, the synthesizer. Maybe you can make it. I'm sorry, not make it, but apply another type of compression with a slower attack and release. So what we have here, the first lead is processed with a compressor with a slow attack and release, and the second layer of the lead is processed with different compressor settings, and thus we are getting a complex sound, a complex timbre. And this is the key to this technique. So it can really help you to process different layers of your lead separately and achieve an interesting timbre. Alright, so that was all for today, guys. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you've made this far, please make sure to subscribe to the channel. This will help a lot to grow the channel. And make sure to watch my other videos, tech house tutorials, sound design tutorials, mixing tutorials. I'm gonna link some of the playlists at the end of this video so you can go and watch these videos. So thank you very much, guys, for watching once again, and I see you guys in the next one. Bye.
I'm getting hot, I'm getting cool.